Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Triple N Talk Show. I am Dr. NIK NIKAM. We are delighted you could join us. This is being live video streamed to YouTube and Google Plus. While we are talking about YouTube and Google, we would like you to download our app, which is NNN Media, for both Android and Apple devices, so that you will be able to follow us around the clock and also be able to see these interviews on your smart devices, cell phones, notepads, excuse me, cell phones, notepads, and even on your web-based computer devices. While we are talking about YouTube also, I would like you to visit our YouTube channel, which is NIK NIKAM, where you can see more than 600 videos we have accenting our Indian experience here in the United States. We also have a Facebook page called NIK NIKAM Network, where you can keep abreast of what's happening in and around the town. And also, please, when you're on Facebook and on our YouTube channels, please do like the Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Today we have a special guest, and my special guest is Col Raj Bhalla. We're going to talk about his life and legacy. And most interestingly, he just celebrated his 58th birthday just a couple of weeks ago. Col Bhalla?
85th.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got the numbers mixed up. I might be a bit dyslexic.
I know. I wish it was 58. God bless you.
I mean, you look like you're 58 years old. But before we go any further, when you say 85 years old, maybe I shouldn't keep mentioning this over and again and again. You know, that reminds me of this 93-year-old lady. She came to me and I was talking to her and I said, "Ma'am, what is the secret of your longevity?" And she said, "Be as mean and as ugly as possible." I said, "You must be serious." She said, "What's the matter? You didn't hear what I said?" "No, I just wanted to make sure, you know, that's what you meant." "That's what I said. Be mean and as ugly as possible." So, Col Raj Bhalla, I want to ask you, before we go any further, what is the secret of your longevity?
I think given the life expectancy and what you guys in the medicine
Yeah.
are doing, I think the longevity is still way out there. My horizon is still
Just-
further,
Yeah.
not this longevity. However,
Yeah.
how I am keeping it up is, you know, keeping the life little bit disciplined
Uh-huh.
and doing regular exercises
I
and
see, yeah.
watching your food. However, I will give you a small example, like this lady told you.
Yeah.
I was sitting in one of our friends' home at a party,
Yeah.
at a dinner, and a friend of ours,
Yeah.
also a doctor, he
Yeah.
had just done, I think he was a little over 70,
Yeah.
and we all were standing and he was sitting. So I told him, I said, "How come I am 75? That time I was 70, and I'm standing and you are sitting." He says, "Well, I just crossed 70, but if you're 75, I will also stand up." And the guy next to me said, "How do you keep such good shape and at the age of 75?
Yeah.
I said, "I do regular exercises. I do 45, 50 push-ups."
Yeah.
And he says, "But why are you telling everybody this thing?" I said, "I think if you do
Yeah.
45, 50 push-ups at this age, it is worth telling people."
Yeah.
He says, "But you know, I think people have to understand
Yeah.
what he thought push-ups in Hindi."
I see.
Yeah, the push-up, he thought I was saying peshap,
Pishap.
push-up, push-up.
Uh-huh.
And he says, "You are going to peshap 45 times. Why are you telling people?" I said, "It's not peshap. Peshap means pee, you know."
Yeah.
I said, "It's the push-ups."
Yeah.
So that kind of, you know, little, I hope it sunk in him. But I hope
Maybe he was more worried that you're having bladder problem.
Exactly.
You're
And
going
then I'm
to pee 50 times.
and I'm telling everybody about it. He said that you shouldn't be doing it. Yeah.
You know, that's fascinating. Okay, let's rewind the clock 85 years.
Mhm.
And let's start off with telling us about how your life originated. I don't mean in medical terms,
Mhm.
but where it originated, and you know, tell us about your early days.
Well, I was born in a place called Firozpur city.
Yeah.
It is in Punjab and right at the border. And before the partition, It was quite, doubtful whether we will get it in India or will go to
Oh, I see.
Pakistan. Oh yeah, we are right at the border, right by the river Sutlej, and we are on this side, and you could see across the border. And in fact, we have a border, but that is not used for, what should I say, for the public to cross into each other's country, like the one in Amritsar.
Yeah.
So I come.
Is this river called a line of
It is a line of demarcation.
demarcation?
Yeah. In that area, it is Satluj River. That is out of the name Punjab means 5 rivers.
I see.
This is the number 1 river, Satluj.
I see.
So that is runs very close to Firozpur. So that is where I come from. I went to school. I attended school there up to high school.
Yeah.
And then I also did 2 years college in Firozpur.
Yeah.
And then went to the veterinary school in Hisar. And immediately after passing my degree in veterinary medicine, joined the army.
What got you fascinated in joining the army, especially when you had completed your veterinary medicine degree?
Well, one thing is kind of a tradition. My father was also in the army.
See.
My father retired as a colonel, and he was in the medical corps.
Yeah.
And my grandfather was also in the army.
I see.
In good old days in the British time, and he was in the cavalry.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of that, when you see your father, all that. So that is what led me to join the services.
Yeah. So how in all these years you were in the military, what fascinated you the most?
I think in the army, what you see is the character, the honesty, the fairness, and the camaraderie, and the brotherhood which you see. I don't think you see it anywhere else. That is what you do.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And
and then there was certain charm to that. And in those days, the army was considered one of the elite services, and we really had a wonderful time. And the army was respected very well.
In fact, Zig Ziglar, who used to be one of the foremost motivational speakers, he used to say that people who come from army, military background, and Catholic religion, and Jewish background, who are extremely disciplined, had the best careers in their lives in whatever field they were in, medicine, business, or entertainment, or anything like that.
I think you are very right, because whatever experience after leaving the army I had was with the Jewish people. And I really saw them exactly with the same dedication, with same seriousness of purpose, and always, doing the right thing.
Well, what actually did you do? What field of army were you in?
As I said, I was in the veterinary corps, and our main job is to provide horses and mules to the army, because in those days, all of our border is mountainous, and we did not have helicopters, and all the ammunition, the supplies, everything had to be carried on the animals. So that is one thing. And the other thing was, now, which has become very, very important, the dogs.
I see.
The casualty detection, the mine detection, and also guarding facilities. So the training and breeding of dogs, the breeding of horses and mules, and training them. And incidentally, even we had to learn horseback riding for an extensive 6 months course. And I tell you, when I joined, when I went for my riding school course, and I just told the instructor, the captain, I said, kindly, sir, give me a docile horse, because I've never ridden before. He said, no problem. I will give you a horse which has not been ridden before. So you both can start together. You have not been riding before, and he has not been ridden before.
That reminds me.
So that was quite a challenge and quite a scary thing. What is he going to do to me?
Well, my heart rate would be like 150 or something.
Wow.
Faster than the horse can ride. That reminds me of this young surgeon who went to talk to a lady, and he walks into the room and he says, now we got gallbladder attack, and we're going to take out your gallbladder. And the patient, she's scared like you were. And she said, Doc, you think I'm going to make it through the surgery? And the young doctor says, well, you better make it through the surgery because you are my first surgery patient. Okay, let's talk about a typical day in a military officer's life.
Well, a typical day is you wake up in the morning and you have to go for the physical training. The
I
PT.
see.
Yeah. Everybody.
Even
has
though
to
you
go.
were a veterinary doctor.
Oh, yeah. You have to go for, which normally involves running. And you go for that for 40 minutes. Then you come back and you have your breakfast. And then you are back in your office, depending upon where you are. If you are in peacetime area, you go to your office. And if you are in the field area, you have to go to your unit and do whatever job you are supposed to do. I mean, if you are working in an animal holding unit, then you have to go and see how the animals are being kept, fed, watered, groomed, because that is your responsibility to make sure that the animals are in fighting healthy spirit.
So what did they feed the soldiers? Breakfast and lunch?
Oh, breakfast and lunch, it is, very different depending upon which kind of unit you are. But the normal thing is parathas and chai and little sabzi, Indian breakfast. And sometimes they will be given eggs, scrambled eggs. Yeah.
What about lunch?
Lunch is, well, the meat is given few days in a week. 3 days in a week.
Yeah.
And the rest is vegetable, dal, and properly balanced food. Mind you, things might have changed. I'm talking of,
I know.
I was in the army in the 50s and then 60s.
I see,
And I got out in early 70s. So now I understand the rations have been further improved. And there's a very funny thing in the army. In the old days, each soldier is given a condiment allowance. I don't know, these are all British things added to us because their food is bland and the Indian troops will have a condiments allowance. So that is given per soldier, per day, per meal, that is calculated and given to each regiment or battalion. And they in turn will buy spices and other things to spruce up the food.
I see.
So that is the lunch, and then the dinner comprises again of 2 vegetables dal, and they are given regular fruit based upon the availability, but nutritious. If there could be time for apples, they'll get apples, or they get bananas, oranges, and all.
What about drinks and smoking and all?
Smoking, the government does not provide you cigarettes.
Is that right?
Yeah, but they were providing rum.
Yeah.
That is, especially in the field area and in the cold climate, there's a ration every day.
That's true,
They get a couple of ounces of rum, and then that builds up, and then you can get a bottle of rum. The officers will get according to that. But they do get rum. And honestly speaking, in my all service, I never tasted rum. I will always give it
to somebody else.
I will give it to my orderlies, whosoever helping me, or sometime to some friend.
So what about like entertainment? Was there a entertainment segment for the soldiers on the army bases or elsewhere?
In the army, entertainment per se does not exist, except that we will get these cinemas. The traveling cinemas, they will come, they will show movies. Or sometimes the unit itself will have some program, somebody who can sing, or they will put up some dramas. That is one thing. And then in the field, they will get these field entertainment groups. These groups will come sometime, they bring local talents in the state where you are. And if you are lucky enough, sometime even Bollywood people will come and do it as a favor or as a, their generosity to the troops. They will come and
like when you interacted with the public, did you have special greetings and admiration from the public?
Public, I think yes. Especially I remember in 1962 when we had the war with China. I remember my car had a flat tire, and I just stopped, and public was around me, said, "Get it fixed right away, because we don't know where he has to go or what he wants to do." So there is a very big respect, and I hope it is still there. but the public was all out for them.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching a Triple N talk show. I am Dr. NIK NIKAM, and my special guest is Colonel Raj Bhalla from the Indian Army, I should say,
Yeah.
who is retired. And this is coming to you live on YouTube and also Google Plus. While we are talking about YouTube and Google, we would like you to download our app, which is NNN Media, so you can follow us on your smartphones and notepads, and also on the website. While we are talking about YouTube, we also would like you to visit our YouTube channel, which is NIK NIKAM, where we have more than 600 videos accenting our experience here in the United States, especially from Houston. And my special guest is Raj Bhalla, and we are talking about his military life and legacy. Okay, let's talk about, is there something particularly you didn't like in the military life, or you would like to see changed? You know, times change, people change, and perceptions change.
Well, if there was any option, I'll go back anytime.
I see.
The life was so nice and good, and somehow, as far as I'm concerned, I like that life. The good people, and then when you meet together in the evening in the officers' mess, the parties and the camaraderie, as I said. And then I was there during the war in 1971, Bangladesh war. We were, and that was the time when you forget about everything. You forget you have a family, you have children, your wife. Somehow the environment becomes so focused on the enemy that you are only concerned as to what we are doing, what we have achieved, and what is our mission. And that was something very unique.
That's fascinating. I guess this was probably the only real war India has fought.
Oh yeah,
right?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
In the 65 years of independence.
Right.
I mean, we always have skirmish between bordering countries, but this is a real
war. Oh
real
yes.
war.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. And I was on the Western Front. I was not on the East. But the way we used to see our sorties going into Pakistan, and you will come back, the pilots will come and tell us what have they done and what we have been gaining every day. That's all what you were really
So was
concerned.
India attacking main Pakistan land also during this
on
war?
the-
It was just mainly getting them out of
No, in the East it
Bangladesh.
was to get them over there. In the West, but Pakistan wanted us. They wanted to have an aggression on this side.
That's what I see.
I see.
So they had both aggression.
Because they knew that we were more attending on that side. And Western Front maybe provide some opportunity. But somehow with our Air Force and with our good planning and strategy, we maintained. In fact, the place where I was, I'm not bragging about it, but we were right in the valley, and the mountains surrounding us were all overlooked by Pakistan, and they were with Pakistan.
I see.
And we had a plan of withdrawing if things became difficult. But it is really creditable that our general was so smart that we stuck on to that. And of course, then the ceasefire came.
I see.
And then another interesting thing when you talk about public is that I was meanwhile had to go to Australia because there was a course for me which had come through. And the general told me, I will not let you go till either the war finishes one way or the other, or there's a ceasefire. So as soon as the ceasefire took place, he released me, and then I went from Punch to Pathankot, and there I got into the train, and we had in the same train some Pakistani officers as prisoners of war.
I see.
Oh, yes. And when the train was stopping on the way, people were flocking to our compartment with all kind of sweets, nuts, because it was the month of December. So dry fruit, cashew nuts, pistachio, almonds. And then someone said, oh, don't give it to them. They are Pakistanis. They said, no, they are also soldiers. So even they were giving to them as well. That is the spirit, It was. Really,
that's fascinating, because right in this country, there is so much discontent the way the veterans are treated, especially when they return back from war, and some of them are disabled. They have to wait for years to get any sort of government assistance. How was this?
You see, the system in India is little bit different. Our
Yeah.
our sailors, soldier, airmen boards,
Yeah.
which are organized at district level, and then in fact now there is a minister also
I see.
who addresses them. And it is the first thing which is taught in the army to the officers is that you must be responsible to your troops.
Troops.
In
I see.
fact, in the Indian Military Academy, in the Chetwood Hall, there is a whole saying, I don't exactly remember,
Yeah.
but it says something like this, that your first duty, and always your first duty, is toward your country.
Yeah.
Your comfort, your everything doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The first is the country. And then the second next thing is the comfort of the people under your command.
Hmm.
And then is you. You come the last, and always. The country
So
comes
taking
first and
care of
always.
the veterans, is this a state responsibility in India, or is it a central government?
It is central government thing, but in collaborate the states also, because for example,
Yeah.
most of our troops come from villages.
I see. That's
So they go to the front. They don't know how their family is being treated. The
I see.
children are going to school properly,
I see.
medical aid, or some of that little piece of land. And there are all kind of people. They think, oh, our husband is gone to the field. Let us grab the land and all
I
that.
see. Yeah.
So for those particular things, they come under the state. So the state
Has to
also
protect all.
yes,
Yes.
protect. And that is the foremost thing: the happiness and care and comfort of their family.
Families.
Once they have that worry taken care of, then the soldier doesn't care.
Yeah.
So that is one thing. For their morale, this is
Yeah.
very important.
Okay, let's talk about a soldier's mindset in the middle of a battlefield, because this is the time when we celebrating Dasara, Durga Puja, and all this from a Hindu background. Signifying the victory of good over evil. Gods over demons, things like that. And I'll bring up the reference to how in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna preaches Arjuna what is responsibility as a soldier, even though he's fighting his own kith and kin. Maybe you can explain to us, being a
The mindset is, of course, at that level,
Yeah.
let us be honest, the soldier's education and all that
Yeah.
is all not all
That's-
at that high level. But I think it is their training, it is how their morale is built up, and how they are indoctrinated in the sense that, and the swearing in ceremony,
Yeah.
what we call shapat.
Yeah.
The shapat is taken is to protect the country.
Country.
And that is what they are always focused on. And that is their mindset,
Yeah.
If we are sent here to protect, and they will do that till the last drop of their blood.
So I guess the country and everything else
Everything else is secondary.
secondary.
The first and foremost thing is your country and your duty.
Yeah.
And then
Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching a Triple N talk show. My special guest is Colonel Raj Bhalla, and we are talking about his military life and legacy. And it's also coming to you live on YouTube and Google Plus. And please do subscribe to our YouTube channel and also our Facebook page, which is NIK NIKAM Network. And if you would like to be a guest on our program, please send us an email at Dr. That is DRNIK @gmail.com, or if you go to Facebook or YouTube, you can get all the information about our contact info. Okay, let's talk about some funny moments that you had in your military career, because I know they say most of the humor comes from painful experiences, and as a military officer, as a soldier, you probably have the biggest challenge of anybody can face in a lifetime.
well, not exactly in my case, because I was in the veterinary service.
Yeah.
But however, toward the end,
Yeah.
I was sent to a job which was not supposed to be done by a veterinarian.
I see.
But you cannot say no in the army. So when the operations took place, the general said, I don't care what is your job, what you are doing. You have to go to Punch, which is the place I told you before,
Yeah.
was in a valley
Yeah.
and all surrounded, and which was, as I mentioned, we were rightly under their fire.
Yeah.
And he asked me to go there and relieve an artillery officer. and do the civil military liaison duties, which he
Yeah.
was doing. He says, I'm wasting an artillery officer for that. You go and do that duty
I
and
see.
let him man a battery of guns and do,
I see.
the other thing. So
Yeah.
that is what I was made to do. So that did bring me face to face into real hot operations
Yeah.
and see what it meant there. And it was pretty
Yeah.
scary.
And all this military training and background and all this, did it have a significant effect on your everyday life, even without knowing? Okay, lunch at 12:01 hour, dinner at 19:14 hours, and the rest, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. Well, in the beginning, when you are just out of the army, those things are very much ingrained in you.
Yeah.
And so much so, when I came here to this country, I even started enforcing that,
Yeah.
without realizing that there are different rules and
That's
laws in the corporate world here.
that's true. Yeah.
So it was only a question of, I think, 10 days or 2 weeks.
I see.
Then the company got a notice from the employees that they want to have a union, and that also Teamster union, and the reason they gave us that this man is treating us like an army colonel, and things don't work that way. So it was a very hard trying time for me, because I had just come
yeah.
and joined this corporation, and I
Business
created a
world.
big problem for them. And but thank goodness they stood by my side. We had lawyers and everything. To
Yeah.
cut the story short, the vote had to be taken,
I see.
and the vote, to my good luck, turned out to be even.
I
So
see.
when the vote comes even, then the status quo stays for 1 year.
I see.
So then my chairman told me that we have now 1 year. Thank God we survived
1 year
that.
to sort of
And
get
yeah,
adjusted.
so within 1 year, either you mend yourself, or your people should start liking you,
Yeah.
and then it made all the difference. And I worked for that company for 30 years.
That's fascinating.
Just one company. I landed and I worked for them for 30 years. And I rose from a veterinarian to the president of that company.
That's
which was-
fascinating.
yeah.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you are watching the Triple N Talk Show. I am Dr. NIK NIKAM, and my special guest is Colonel Raj Bhalla, and his military life and legacy. Okay, so you spent how many years in military?
I did a little over 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. And okay, let's talk about when did you come to United States?
Came in 1976.
Yeah. And what did you do after you completed your military service?
After that, I got into practice, veterinary practice in Delhi for about a year and a half or so.
Yeah.
And then I was hired by this company in US
Yeah.
as one of their veterinarians. And so I came here in 1976. I retired from the army in 1973, late towards the end. And in 1976, I came here in February.
So what kind of work did you do?
Well, to be honest, I did monkey business.
You serious?
Well,
that's a huge shift from being honest, ethical, and prudent and obedient in the military, and to come to the United States and start a monkey business.
Well, I tell you, I was in the literal sense, although I think everybody's in a monkey business in one way or the other.
Well, that's what I was. That's what I thought
I know.
when he said monkey business.
No, we were in the business of importing non-human primates.
Oh, I see.
For biomedical research. We will quarantine them. We will test them for various diseases, viruses, clean them up, and then send them for biomedical research, especially for safety testing of the vaccines and also in the drug discovery.
So you were in the honest monkey business.
Oh, yes.
Okay, tell us about your journey. You said you were in the same company for 30 years.
Right.
So give us a little insight into how you moved from one level to the other.
Well, I think I still will say the credit goes to our army background and the teachings and the learning experience, and you follow those principles. And at the end, it is your integrity and loyalty that
Yeah.
pays you. You know, you're working efficiently. Although I was amazed that my bosses always said, you know, you are doing this, but there was nothing extraordinary. I
I
mean,
see.
probably that is our culture from India also.
That's
That you where
So you had
you
sort
work
of
diligently.
a double training.
Yeah, yeah.
One, coming from the Indian background where we value a lot of things
Exactly.
differently,
Yeah, our values.
to
Yeah,
very basic level,
absolutely. Yeah, right.
plus the military background
Yeah, yeah,
together.
yeah. So it was very good, very good career.
Yeah,
And I worked with the same company till the age of 76, which you hardly see these days in
yeah,
multinational companies allowing their executives to work till that age.
yeah.
So
That's
that was a
fascinating.
very,
Yeah,
yeah, the board every year were making dispensation for me because the normal retiring age was 65.
I see.
So
Yeah,
they will keep on increasing. In fact, they told me for you, the age is 90 to retire. I said, no. At 76, I begged them. I said,
yeah.
kindly, yeah.
That's fascinating.
So it was
Now,
good.
give us a little insight into comparing your civilian life versus the military life. What are the things that you have learned?
Well, in civilian life, what I learned is
Yeah,
that you can tell to your boss what you feel about.
I see. Yeah,
I'll give you one example.
yeah,
The chairman of the company, God bless his soul, he is now passed. Doctor, he was also a veterinarian, Dr. Henry Foster,
yeah.
and the company he founded, and which is still there, and it is on New York Stock Exchange with the symbol CRL, Charles River Laboratories,
Yeah.
and I think it is $2+ billion company, which he started in 1947.
Yeah.
And he one time told me, Raj, I have got too many people reporting to me because it's an international company. Is there? Can I ask you to report to the executive vice president?
Yeah.
You know, I was reporting to him directly. I said, Dr. Foster, if you had told me go and report to him, I would have.
Yeah.
But now that you have asked me, I do not want to do that. He says, well, this is not military. And if you don't want to report him, okay, don't report him. But he kept in his mind.
Yeah.
And after 6 months, he got me in his room, in a hotel room in London.
Yeah.
And he asked me, he said, what was the reason that you didn't want to report to him?
Yeah.
So I gave him the reason. But what I mean,
Yeah.
if it was the army, you can't question
That's
that.
right.
There's,
Yeah,
oh,
you
you are
just do it.
transferred here or you report to so-and-so, you jolly well report that.
Yeah.
There's no such thing. So that is one thing I've learned in the corporate life here.
Yeah.
And the second thing I see is, you know, in the army or in government service, you are being reviewed from top. Your boss writes a report on you.
I see.
But here, what I found out,
From the
that
bottom up.
yeah, you also have an opportunity to
Yeah.
write a report on your boss. He asks you for that.
Yeah.
And then the boss reviews you, but you also review him, which is something very unique.
But in the civilian life, you're reviewed from both from top and from the bottom.
Right.
And all directions,
Yeah,
basically.
So that is that thing. And then another thing you learn from them, especially in this company, as I mentioned earlier, these were the not a Jewish company, but what I mean, the chairman was a Jewish, and I learned many things from them, especially you know, supporting the community charity and doing that. Yeah,
that's fascinating. And let's talk about coming from this military background. Obviously, you know, you're used to a lot of discipline, keeping your words and all these things. How did you feel interacting with people? You know, most people in the real world have no value for time, no value for their words, no value for other people. In an environment like this, how did you interact or adapt?
Well, sometimes you have to adapt yourself, but gradually I've seen that people, one day, and you also have to change, but I've seen with people also that they see the right points and they tend to agree with you. Yeah. So it worked. At least I have been very fortunate.
That's fascinating. Okay, let's talk about, with all your experience, both in the civilian world as a successful corporate executive and also as a military officer, what advice do you have for young people? Not necessarily they want to go into military, or if they want to go into military, that's fine. But in their personal life, lessons from you?
Well, I think the first and foremost is that one should have confidence in oneself.
I see.
Always you should be confident of yourself and never get cowed down by, by any other person. And living in America, I will say, especially when I
Yeah.
wear a turban and all that and a Sikh, for me, there was no such thing as discrimination.
Yeah.
So once you know yourself and your
Yeah.
stuff, and you are also fair and straightforward, I think the field is open for you.
Yeah.
That's what I will advise to the youngsters, that have confidence in yourself,
Yeah.
know your stuff, be fair, and be open.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching the Triple N Talk Show. I am Dr. NIK NIKAM, and my special guest is Col Raj Bhalla. We are talking about his military life and legacy. You can follow us on YouTube. In fact, this program is being live video streamed to YouTube and Google Plus, and also you can download our NNN Media app, so you can follow us round the clock. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also, you can follow us on Facebook on NIK NIKAM Network page. While we are talking about all these things, if you were to do something differently, looking at your life backwards, what would you do differently?
I really never thought about it because, as I said,
Yeah.
in 85 years, I have everything
Yeah.
the way I wished, the way I dreamt, the way
Yeah.
I looked for. It's good, really. Good.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Col Raj Bhalla is also a great comedian, and hopefully we can have him come back next time and explore his comedic part of his life, which is surprising from a military perspective. But I think people who have all these great experiences in life invariably have a lot of interesting stories to say. You want to give us a couple of glimpses of your experience? I know when you do some stand-up comedy in some of these Indian shows, you get the biggest laugh from the audience.
Well, maybe next time I'll bring some jokes or something, or
Yeah.
but in everyday life you see certain things.
Yeah.
For example, we had this earthquake
Yeah.
yesterday or day before
Yeah.
in Afghanistan, and I think the shocks and tremors were also felt in northern India. I called my brother. I said, how was your place? He says, oh boy, Raj, the fan was moving like crazy. And he says, my two servants were in their quarters during afternoon. One was sleeping, one was awake. And the guy who was sleeping tells the other guy, suddenly waking up, why have you been shaking my bed? He says, not shaking, it's earthquake. So really speaking, that is so funny. But
that's fascinating. That reminds me of Arma Bambek, who said, referring to the age and all this, as we get older, nothing works and anything moves hurts. Colonel Balaji, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much.
We are delighted to have you, and certainly, we will get you back. And the thing we were talking about, doing Indian senior comedy, will make it come to a fruition next time. And ladies and gentlemen, until next time, this is Dr. NIK NIKAM saying you bye.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming.